Well, good afternoon to you all, or good morning, or even good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the live reaction show with myself, Steve Wyss, and he's back again, Simon Holden. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, mate. I've just been doing some last-minute research that you said. I hope this is what you meant. I think I've remembered most of them, so we'll be all right. We'll be all right. Yeah, I'm doing well.
Good to hear. Good to hear, Simon. You might have to perk my mood up because Monaco have just put me in a foul mood with a shocking performance this afternoon against Toulouse. Absolute disgrace. So they're very much on my blacklist. But we'll talk about that a bit later because, we're here for bets. We're here 5 minutes earlier than normal, actually, because there is, I think, quite a very interesting game at the Premier League. We're going to be obviously live on air when it's on. Luton Town against Manchester United from the fortress that is Kenilworth Road, the genuine definition of tough place to go, or a place that you don't really want to go. And I know the Premier League show. Shout out to the Premier League boys this week, by the way. I think they're hitting a clean sweep so far, but they've got a big play in this game. I know they're massively favouring Manchester United. Now, I'm going to give my opinions on this match in a minute, Simon, but I do believe you may have an opposite feeling about the direction this game.
Well, I do, and if I'm right and they're wrong, my chances of getting a T-shirt with me on it have gone from 0.1% to wipeout. I think Luton are a play here, Steve. If you remember the last time I was on, I risked mocking, but then you wouldn't wear a top like this if you were bothered about that. I risked mocking by saying I thought Luton could get out of trouble. Nobody else was saying that. Now I think they will. I think far too much has been made of their defeat at home to Sheffield United. I think it was an outlier, a freak result. I do think people overreact to these one-offs. I want to look at the rest of their home form, and I'll forgive them that. Interesting, that game against Sheffield United, as somebody said, the first time Luton have ever gone out this year and thought, we're going to win today, this is going to be easy. And it showed. They weren't at it. Well, they'll be back at it today. I think Bet Rivers plus 320 is a bet. But I think the main bet for me, I do like correct score 2-1 to Luton at plus 1200. But the key bet for me here is double chance Luton Town and the tie at plus 108. I think that is very tasty. I think Luton have been underrated, and I think Man United are starting to get that overrating again. And when that happens, we've seen in the last couple of years, they tend to shrivel up pretty quick. So I do think Luton are a play here. I must disagree with the great minds at the Premier League show.
Luton Town plus 320 to win this game with Bet Rivers. The tie is plus 310. Man United minus 127. That's a price that should stay pretty stable throughout the whole week, really. And I've seen so many different opinions about this game on different boards, tips to shows, whatever. And I it's not often that I'm actually on the fence, Simon. I was saying to you off air that I can't make my mind up about this game. I think every scoreline is up for grabs. And it's the sort of match where I have to respect what everyone's sort of bet is on the game. I couldn't really say to anyone, I hate that bet, because I don't really have a strong opinion. You're right, Luton have been good at home this year in general. They've only lost one match by more than one goal. And I think if anyone was taking Man United handicaps, I'd be thinking twice, because I think it might be hard to claim a comfortable win against Luton. But end of the day, Man United backers do only need them to win by one goal. The Man United just get on the money line. They get the win under their belts, and that Sheffield United result today. A lot would argue, Luton have just lost to that side. Have lost 5-0. So that doesn't really timestamp much form, does it? So it's going to be interesting. We maybe it'll be a different version today. Man United have a history of hoodwinking, put their bettors, don't they, into sucking them in when you think they're back on track. So I think it's a really intriguing game.
Playing devil's advocate, Steve, you would agree that Man United have had some horror shows as well at home this year. And that's all been forgotten this week, it seems, by some who seem to think they've turned into an amazing team all of a sudden.
I've seen a lot of people.
You can't argue Luton were awful against Sheffield, but I'm just giving the reasons I think. I think they were for the first time this year, they were cocky. You won't see that. And can you imagine how the managers got into them since that game? And before that, a brilliant performance away at Newcastle, putting 4 past them. I'd rather take the breadth of their home form, and that just pushes me towards them for this game.
There's some interesting team news ahead of the game. We've got Adebayo is not playing for Luton. I don't know exactly what's happened to him. Is he injured? But anyway, Curtis Morris is going to be playing. Curly Woodrow's actually coming to the side as well for Luton Town. Luke Shaw does start for Man United. I know he was doubtful.
Doubtful, wasn't he?
Paul Laguna said he was actually injured in the warm-up. Nigel Seeley says Hoyland to score first. Not a bad shout. He's found some form. There's a prop bet I quite like from the Luton side of things. Alfie Doherty to have an assist at plus 550. Provides a lot of chances and crosses, and he's on a lot of set pieces. And Luton will be a threat, won't they, in the air? So I think plus 550. I think Luton will score here, definitely.
I think Luton will start fast. Yeah.
It's minus 177 though.
Yeah.
Minus 177 both teams score. You're not going to get rich quick back in that, are you? So
that's a bit tight.
That is a bit on the skinny side, isn't it? I think if I had to go with the scoreline, I would go with Man United to win 2-1. Myself.
Yeah, I'll flip you, Luton 2-1. But you're right, it's that sort of game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Good day, Jack Wright. Well done on a great weekend so far, mate. Must say. They aren't really suited to those giving them the ball. Prefer it up against the big boys apart from state. Well, yeah, right. He is right. This is why, if we go back to the sort of the old version of Luton against Liverpool, Arsenal, teams like that, Chelsea, when they put up a good fight, then you might well be in business, Simon. But
well, Steve, if they produce a performance as good as they have against other top four sides, will that be enough today? I think it will be at this price to bet that it will be enough.
Nigel Seeley says, not for the first time in my life, he totally disagrees. So you are,
and it won't be the last.
Head to head, mano a mano, locking horns. Nigel Seeley against Simon Holden. May the best man win. Kicks off in 3 minutes. Good luck, whatever you're taking, guys out there.
Yeah, good luck, everybody. If United are 5-0 up at half time, Amazon will be at the door and I'm out of here.
do you know what? I don't think it's not a bad bet. If I had to, gun to my head, if I had to take like a main bet, I've already suggested Alfie Doherty there as a sort of a nibble. But I think over 3 Asian goals would be what I would go with. Minus 114. I think there's at least 3 goals in this game. I mean, I'm not saying that I don't fancy it for a big over, but we're both saying, I'm saying 2-1 Man United. You're saying 2-1 to Luton. I think 3-1 was a couple of predictions from in the chat there. Maybe the goals might come here. It's a very intriguing contest, Simon. So let's see.
I think Luton need to make a statement, don't they, after in front of their home fans after the last time. Well, the point I think Nigel's making there is that Manchester United are a stronger side than Chelsea. Probably are, but you wouldn't have said that until the last month.
No, you wouldn't. I mean, I can't work out Chelsea. I don't really know where. I mean, we'll talk about them.
I thought they were superb yesterday.
But where did I had no idea where they even got that performance from, because they've been all right. They beat Palace, but they were terrible, really, weren't they, on Monday night? And then they come up with a performance like that. I deserved a draw, but that's the Etihad. So I can't work out Chelsea. Slabhead anytime. That is indeed Harry Maguire to score at any time in this game. Jack Wright suggests. I'm just trying to find his odds with Bet Rivers now, actually. But I imagine we're about 10-1. He's actually 8-1. 8-1 with.
What a resurgence in the last 6 weeks from
Harry Maguire. Yeah, it is a big resurgence. So. All eyes on that game. Welcome in everyone who's in the chat. Paul Laguna, hope you're having a great day. Elijah, this is a name and a half, isn't it? This is. I'm not even going to try and pronounce that surname. So we'll just call him
a free
Elijah.
T-shirt to anybody who gets his name right.
Yeah. Welcome in. Welcome. But yeah, Elijah, we're going to talk about Brest Marseille a bit later as well. That's a match that I quite like. There are some games going on right now in France. Rams 0, Lens 0 at the moment, and Granada 0, Almeria 1 in Spain La Liga. But obviously, Luton Town. This is a big game for them in the relegation battle. And there was a huge win yesterday for Nottingham Forest, Simon, down at the bottom of the table. Huge win, no doubt about it whatsoever. And it kind of leads things up to Monday night football under the lights at Goodison Park. You're an Everton fan. You've been a suffering Everton fan for a few years now.
I'm only 28. Look what it's done to me.
I guess it's going to be a case of, I mean, you must be nervous about the match first.
Oh, horrendous! And again, Nigel Seeley, very confident man, giving the toffees, giving Everton tomorrow. I'd love to buy into it.
Oh, there's a big chance early on here for Man United, and they've scored. Manchester United are ahead. Is that the door? Højlund. It is Højlund, the first goal scorer from Nigel Seeley's selection. He's on the board. 41 seconds on the clock.
I believe is it the opposite of a dream start? Because that's what I've just had.
Højlund's just scored for Man United. What has happened there? The Luton Town defence has been breezed wide open. They were attacking with the Hatters, and then it's a defensive howler.
Oh yeah, I don't know who doing?
I don't know what he's doing there. It's a shocker at the back. I mean, you can't.
Well, you can't legislate for that, can you? Oh no! I'm just watching the
dear, dear. This is horror. It's a horror show.
Oh,
it's a horror show.
This is where you start to think it's all against you, isn't it? This is where the paranoia.
What is he doing? What is he thinking? Manchester
Well,
United.
We've got a mountain to climb now as Luton fans.
Under backers, that's not what they wanted. Anyone on the under here is not happy with that start. But Man United.
I've still got my 2-1 in play, Steve. It's still in play.
It's still in play. The comments are coming in. Elijah reckons it could be 5 or 6 before the night is out. But yeah, well done to Nigel Seeley, Højlund first goal scorer. That was a great shout. No doubt about it whatsoever. There's been a goal in Germany as well, actually. Freiburg 3, Eintracht Frankfurt 3. I quite liked the under there earlier. I did a video promo today outside Catterick Racecourse, almost in honour of you, Simon, because I knew you'd appreciate that. I did say that match, Freiburg Frankfurt. I didn't bet on it, but I did suggest that it could be an under. It's 3-3. So yeah, not a particularly good day for me today so far. I'm not really.
Shall we go to Catterick, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, it's you called it the Ascot of the North, didn't you? So
I did, yeah.
You can. It's
and Luton's the Ascot of the South, wherever it is.
Luton Town are now plus 750 in running to win the game, plus 450 the tie. Man United minus 335. But anyway, where were we? We were talking about the relegation battle, and that's bad news for Luton Town. It's good news for Everton, with Luton.
Well, it is.
Falling behind there. And Everton Palace. And how do you see this game tomorrow night? Because I know it's hard. I mean, I myself have problems with Leeds games, sometimes Marseille games, where my heart can sometimes rule the head a bit. Hopefully you can stay unbiased here, Simon. But I mean, first of all, give us a prediction of what sort of style of the game we're going to have.
I think you've got to. I mean, just on that note, we were talking the other night about again the age-old perennial question that. Should you bet on teams you support? And I said, well, if you think that they're a bad price, then do it. You're not causing anything to happen in the game. I said, it's a bit like if the other team win, you've got to be like Richarlison when he went back to Goodison. You've got to be in the pub. You've got to be very quiet, not jump up and down, just accept the cash and then be quietly away. So I would quite happily bet against Everton. I think this game will be a draw tomorrow night. I think we said earlier, it's the team who can't score against the team who can't defend. So you've got the capacity for that to be low scoring, bet the unders maybe. But I do think Everton's run of form was dreadful. Everybody said the manager should be out. He then hit a purple patch. They were the informed team in the Premier League, but that's starting to feel like quite a while ago now, Steve. They've dipped into the old habits of the negativity. And everybody keeps saying this is a game Everton have to win. Well, all the others that they've been getting beat were games they had to win. And also, isn't it as important for Palace? The temporary manager can do the rallying cry, let's all pull together, the siege mentality. There could be a bit of that. Palace have got a lot of injuries, but I just think there'll be a lot more solid shots than Everton tomorrow night, and I really do worry. And if they don't win tomorrow night, Steve, then they are in big trouble. Big trouble. Particularly, you're right, Forest are showing sparks of revival under the new boss. The tie is currently plus 285 with Bet Rivers. I think that's not a bad selection at all. I expect a dour, miserable affair, just a standard Everton home match then. And I think the tie's the play there. I would not be getting stuck into Everton tomorrow night, whatever problems Palace have.
I think the best bet for the game is the unders. Under 2.5 goals at -137. But the problem is the Premier League this year. There's been a lot more goals. We know there's a lot more. And it's the sort of match where there will be a lot of time wasting. There'll be a lot of players down on the floor. So we're probably looking at plus 5 or 6 minutes at the end of the first half, knocking on the door plus 10 minutes at the end of the second half. I just know how it will go. Man United are all over Luton in the early stage of this game, by the way. The Hatters are under pressure. But yeah, so I like the unders.
The only ones.
I'm always a little bit dubious now, Premier League unders. Everton at -150. That's a really interesting debate, because I think Everton will win. I think Everton will get the win. But I'm thinking 1-0 or 2-0 to Everton, right? In a good old-fashioned sort of Sean Dyche, knuckle down, get the job done sort of performance. You're right, Palace can't score goals at all. And this could be 2-0 to Man United.
What stopped Everton doing that to Fulham and Wolves and teams like that, though, Steve? When they were struggling and they went to Goodison?
I don't know. I think initially there was a siege mentality from Everton when they got the points deduction. And obviously there was a lot of good results. But then, Wolves are actually quite a good side anyway, let's be honest. This is 2-0 Man United, by the way. I don't know what's actually happened. It's a deflection.
It's come off his ankle, isn't it?
It's come off his chest. It's a freak goal. He didn't mean it at all. I think he stayed onside. It's a complete. Well, I say he didn't mean it. He kind of turned. He wouldn't have expected. It's a long shot, which is going wide, and it's chested in to the back of the net. Pretty lucky, if you ask me. But
if you ask me, the phrase "freak goal." Hey, thank God this isn't live stream. We can re-record it and say Man U 5-0. Oh no, it is.
This is a dream start for Man United back. It's a dream start for overbackers. Luton Town, but they have been under the pump. Man United have been all over them like a swarm of bees. So, yeah, this is very, very worrying for the Hatters. No doubt about that whatsoever. But
and the 2-1 is officially off.
Well, it is. The 2-1's definitely off for Luton.
For Luton fans, it is. Yeah. He's quite clever. He's turned, didn't he, at the last minute? I've just seen the replay.
Yeah, I think you got to give. Yeah, I don't think he expects to score it, right? But it is, to be fair to him, it's quite a good move. From Luton will feel themselves pretty hard done by there, but their defending is not good enough in the early stages of this game whatsoever. And so we look at Everton's last 7 games, Simon. You are right. They were 0-0s against Villa, Fulham away, and they were probably lucky to get draws in those, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
Came back against Spurs, but everyone's scoring against Spurs. So I kind of take your point, but Palace, I think Crystal Palace are in a real mess right now. Roy Hodgson.
Undoubtedly.
We wish Rory well, by the way. Of course, from everyone here, because we win. Absolutely legendary manager. But I just feel it's a real unfortunate turn of events that he's got ill. At the same time, they're going to basically fire him. So I don't know how they're going to. There hasn't been anything officially announced, has there, about who's actually the manager, who's going to become the manager of Crystal Palace? But Oliver Glasner is the man linked in. The
rumor is it was going to happen that day, wouldn't it? And that he was lined up. Obviously, it's a PR. Our thoughts are with Roy, obviously, but for the club, it's a bit of a PR disaster how it's come around. But I just wonder, there's 2 choices for the players at Palace tomorrow. They either, give up or they come together. Now, we saw earlier in the season when Everton lost the points, a lot of people thought they would fold. But for a 6-week spell, the whole club and the fans came together and they went on an incredible run. But that could only go on so long, keeping them at that level. And they sort of regressed back to that negative play. But I don't know if a Palace and Everton, pretty similar teams in terms of quality.
I think what you've got to say is team news is obviously really big with Crystal Palace.
Yeah, and Palace are struggling.
The 2 big players,
out. Yeah,
Eze and Elise are the 2 big players. Elise, we know, is ruled out until April. Eze, I think, is available for this game, but don't quote me on that because he seems to miss more games than he plays a lot of the time. So, those are 2 massive players. I don't know what the Everton injury situation is. You've not had that many injuries this year. But
No, I think I had the team news on earlier. Let me see about the people that are out. There is a
but
few
yeah, I mean,
out.
it's one of those with the Palace situation. For me, Crystal Palace will go down at some point in the next 2 or 3 years. They just feel like a sinking ship. They never show enough ambition. They're very happy to be anywhere sort of 10th to 15th. And eventually that will find you out. Look what happened, Southampton in the end. Other teams have fallen foul of that down the years. So it's just a question of when for me, when Palace go.
Yeah,
Could it be
and I
this
mean, the
season?
thing
Could
is
it be
as
this
well,
season?
the thing is with
Season,
Everton,
but
you could argue that in their own way, they've done that, haven't they?
Look, I'm sorry, I'm afraid to say, Simon, I think it's just a matter of time for Everton as well.
Yeah.
Partly due to the finances as well. I mean, you've not that is an issue. You could get dock points next season, and it might not be, even if you survive this season, next season you might not be so lucky in that sort of way.
But before that, how many days have they saved themselves on the last day of the season in the last 15 years? Probably
if not the last,
5.
yeah, it's like the last 2 rounds or 3 rounds. You can't keep doing that year after year. Eventually, you will get your ass bitten. And I think the relegation market is really hard to bet on. Let's go to the betting here
because of the potential point deductions as well.
There's been a big the team that did shorten quite a lot over the weekend is Brentford. You could have actually got them as big as 33-1 heading into the weekend, but they've been back down to 12-1. Now, I'm not saying Brentford are in trouble again. It feels like there's 3 worse teams, definitely, whether it's on the field or off the field. But I've heard some rumours that Thomas Frank's not too happy at Brentford and might be a candidate to leave the club at the end of the season. We know Ivan Toney's going to be on his way out of there, but I think they'll have enough. Sheffield United, absolute disgrace again today, as was the red card that they had. Holgate was pathetic. Burnley and Sheffield United are gone. They're awful. They're 2 of the worst teams the Premier League's ever seen, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I can't see Brentford being drawn into it. Effectively, you've got maybe 4 teams for 1 spot now. I think 2 are gone.
Yeah.
I can see the people saying that Palace are the ones who look like there's always one who floats from the middle down.
4-1. Crystal Palace 4-1 to get relegated. That will probably increase if Luton lose this game today. Now, maybe you might get smidgens of sort of 5-1, 6-1 heading into Monday night if you fancy that. But I think it's such a hard market to bet on because Forest could lose points. Everton might get points back and then lose points again.
And lose them again, yeah. Well, if Luton lose heavily, and even their staunchest fan, is starting to accept that's possible, then is a draw tomorrow night a bad result? As bad a result for either team? It's not a disaster, is it? Certainly not for Palace.
I think Palace can play for the draw and be okay with it. Can Everton really accept a draw in a game again in a winnable home match? That's why that's why a lot are saying it's must win, and I agree with you.
They haven't won in 7, have they?
I don't know.
If you haven't won in 7, a draw is maybe not a disaster. It could be.
Player Cam HD says Luton will fight back. I've done all season.
I like this guy.
So they're not writing you off
this
already. Guy. But Luton have scored. It's on Morris, I think, is on the score sheet.
Oh yes,
2-1. What is going on here at Kenilworth Road? Carlton Morris. You can't trust this. This is out completely.
This is the Premier League encapsulated in 15 minutes, is it not? We've had 2 bizarre goals.
This wasn't coming at all. They were all over. Man United should have been 3 up. But this is poor goalkeeping for me as well from a man sometimes nicknamed Mr. Invisible in goal.
Looks like he's waving to some friends at the back of the stand, doesn't it, as he comes out? Yeah.
He's terrible coming out on Anna, but Luton Town are back in it. I mean,
well, they are. And I never thought they wouldn't be. I bet Seeley, that little first bead of sweat just coming down his forehead now. For the old man, they'll have been getting the hot dogs out, him and Jack Wright, when they opening the champagne. But is it now going to be just starting to face a little bit?
This is the Premier League for you, isn't it? You just don't know. Player Cam HD says City let me down yesterday. Had them in over 1.5 goals. I saw a lot of people on that bet yesterday, either in a parlay or a single. Manchester City to score over 1.5 goals, and that I've got to be honest, that result yesterday was a big surprise to me, Simon. I'm on a performance from Chelsea. It's, in terms of the title race now, you can get Manchester City. They're even money with some books. Even money to win the title because they've dropped 2 points yesterday against Chelsea. Liverpool 7-4 and Arsenal at plus 300.
I knew we'd come on to this, and you already, regular viewers will know I am on Arsenal. If I had not had a bet in the title race and was looking at the prices today, looking at the current form, looking at the run-ins, I have to say Arsenal, I still think are the value bet out of the three of them. And it is now a 3-horse race. Let's be very clear about it. Man City are in slight decline. Even their biggest fans will say that. That slight decline might be good enough to win it. But Arsenal, I just think maybe they are improving. Year wiser. They've got Declan Rice this year. I've got a feeling they could get over the line, certainly at those prices. I think they are the play as we stand.
Obviously, I don't know about the thing with why are Arsenal this price? I think there's two reasons for it. Because number one, the books can't really dangle a carrot for Manchester City at anything backable because everyone would get on them. There'd be a huge liability for the books. So that's one reason. Arsenal, the other reason though, because they've not won it before under this regime. They've not won. When was their last title win? 2005? I don't know, something like that. It was obviously under Wenger.
2006.
Something like that. And you come to the mentality, don't you? They had a very good win against Liverpool, which they perhaps over-celebrated a bit. But we don't talk. We won't be celebration police on there, or at least I won't be.
Well, the only thing I'd say is, doesn't the manager of the team they beat go behind the goal after every game and start waving his? That's all. I'll shut up now.
I just thought Arsenal reacted that game as if they'd won the league already, which I thought.
I think it was relief.
But can you imagine Sir Alex Ferguson doing that?
I think it was relief that they'd done it rather than anything. The pressure was building up, and since that win, the feeling around the club looks much more relaxed. They're starting to play again. Declan Rice, he's there this year. He wasn't last year. I can't imagine him not being worth, at least 1 or 2 wins in that build-up with his play and with his leadership. I just think they possibly, because they didn't win it last year and collapsed in quotes, maybe that's been a little bit overrated. The manager's at another. He will have learned things from last year. And as I said to you, without Rodri, I've never said this about this Man City team in the last 4 or 5 years. They need to keep one player fit, Rodri. And in previous years, they've had so many brilliant players in each position that they could manage anybody being out, really. But it's not the case this year. If I was Guardiola, I'd be keeping him in cotton wool between games. I certainly wouldn't have him running or doing any training. I'd just say to him, you make sure you're fit. And that is a worry. And I think probably Arsenal and, dare I say, Liverpool have probably could manage losing players better than City this year, which is a new thing. Before that, the joke was, international gets injured and top international comes off bench. It was that Man City, wasn't it?
I think he knows. Yeah, I think. I mean, look, Arteta has his own game plan. He's always been quite a wildly celebrating manager, anyway. In fact, that's his style. Fine, and they have done well since that result. In fairness to them,
very well.
I just wonder when it comes to the real crunch, as it was last year, whether they've got it. We'll find out, won't we? We'll find out. And at the end of the day, with some of these outrights, you've got to buy a ticket, haven't you, to find out. You've got to be in the draw to win it, and you'll pay to find out. Plus 300, as they say. So fair play. You put your money where your mouth is. If I had to put, I'd probably be in the Man City camp now. To be honest, I haven't been in the Man City camp this season, but I forgot. I think De Bruyne has come back and looked pretty damn good. I think actually he's probably more important than what Haaland's come back with them.
I'd agree there.
I thought De Bruyne. I had big question marks about De Bruyne because that was a big injury that he had, and not all players always come back from that sort of thing and look good. So, but he does look. He's come back. out of the trap strongly. I think there's still more in his tank the more fitter he gets. So, I would lean towards the City. Even money, I would. Yeah, I would lean towards City. But the title rate, I mean, it's a tough one because all three sides do merit a lot of respect on their own right. So, but it was interesting. Yesterday's result did throw me, must say. Didn't see that
but
coming
this is what we
all.
want. As people who are going to bet on it, we want the relegation to go to the last week. And we want the league title not to be won by Man City by 8-9 points or anybody by that. We want it to go to the last weekend, preferably with 3 still in with a shout in the last couple of games. Then we've got, can you imagine that the wagering on the last weekend, if it was live,
it'd be
fantastic.
This is this is such an open game, by the way, at Kenilworth Road. Like
Luton are having a go now, aren't they?
It's proper. Like, it really feels there could be more goals in this. It's really early on, but I can't. It's just such a crazy game. Feels like there could be a goal at any moment. So some people commenting about Bayern Munich. They are 1-0 up against Bochum. Harry Kane missed a massive chance to make it 2-0. Harry Kane, he could go trophyless.
Well, the stick he took in the German media after what about Sitter, the chance he missed in the Champions League, and what a 4-1 shot Lazio were, by the way. That was an incredible prize.
Yeah, and a big shout out to RJ. RJ on the Champions League show had the +1 in that game on Lazio. So, I mean, I bet he wishes he'd gone the money line now.
But I mean, Kane's miss, and not just that, his lack of running and his lack of basically looked like he wasn't interested. And that's not going unnoticed to that. I wonder if it could be a brief holiday out there for him.
Yeah, we might come on to Bayern in the Bundesliga battle soon, but Elijah has been on about what can he put his £200 on today. I'm going to talk about the Brest match. I'm going to talk about a bit of Brest now, Simon. Brest against Marseille in France. This is the evening game in Brittany, and a lovely part of Brittany. I don't know if you've ever been in those regions. Times. Yeah, absolutely lovely place. And Brest are doing really well this season, and the top 5 material, their metrics have certainly put them top half. They've got a goalkeeper who often annoys me, but he's suspended tonight. So for me, that's a massive downgrade. It's like, I mean, I'm trying to think like who would be the most.
When you say he annoys you, Steve, does he owe you money or something?
When you're betting on overs in a Brest game, he will frustrate me, or both teams to score, or if you're betting against them, he will come up with saves. It's just frustrating, isn't it, when a goalkeeper denies you when you feel like you read the game really well, but the last line of defence kind of makes a difference. But he's out of the way, so because he's out of the way, I think that gives Marseille a massive opportunity tonight. Not that Marseille are trustable, but it's not often, right? Marseille are plus 200 on the money line. Okay, now if I just said to you, Marseille are plus 200 to beat Brest, a lot of people would be very interested in that because they would presume Marseille more often than not would be a better side than Brest down the years. So I can see a lot of people betting on Marseille tonight, but it's the goals that I like, Simon. It's got to be the goals. I like over 2.25 was the pick I've done on the Bet Rivers European show this week. I've not had a winner from my first 3 picks yet on that show. I've gone push, loss. So I'm due a winner. So I'm quite confident about this one. Over 2.25 goals on the Asian. For those who've got more balls than me, take over 2.5 straight. And that is actually plus money over 2.5 straight. So
he's got to have a chunk of the 200 on that then.
I think so. I mean, you both teams scoring as well is something you could look at for that game because, I mean, Marseille played Thursday night, 2-2 a draw against Shakhtar, another crazy game. Gijo is suspended for them. So both teams have got significant suspensions defensively, which I think really helps the goal situation in this game. Yeah, I mean, Bet Rivers go plus 112 and over 2.5. So, yeah.
There you go.
I am pretty confident about one later. But as Ashk said here, he's never bet on League One matches again with Monaco proving it. Monaco have let a lot of bettors down today, and including myself. And I can only apologise for their performance because I never saw it coming. And this now leads on to another section we're going to talk about today, Simon. This is about scheduling from sort of February onwards in European leagues, where We've got domestic cups going on. We've got Europa League, Champions League, Conference League mixed in. Now, for me today, I mean, Toulouse had less than 65 hours rest to prepare for this game. They were in Benfica on Thursday night, suffered they lost with the last kick of the game. They were deflated. They were so down on themselves, and it was such a physically enduring game. So I'm thinking they're there for the taking today. Monaco should, even if Monaco just play average, they should easily beat them. And, where are you on this sort of thing? Do you like opposing teams who have been playing midweek, Thursday nights, or do you not even look into that and just say, forget about it?
No, I'm a big fan of opposing the Champions League teams later on, post-Christmas. I suppose that you could argue that we just spoke about Man City and the, injured player goes off, top international comes on type thing. If you've got that, then you can carry multiple competitions, can't you? But once you go into the lesser clubs that are in European competition and continental wise, it's got to stretch them, hasn't it? It's got to the physical exhaustion of the travelling and the up and down and then coming back on the weekends. I think it's an extra burden. So therefore, I would oppose teams within reason, and have done quite well opposing the big teams. And I think teams I do like to oppose are the teams that are in their first European run in years.
Well, that's exactly Toulouse. That's why I'm opposed to Toulouse today, for example. Yeah. And Nantes last year nearly got relegated in France after they had a European campaign, which they lost so many points after they played.
And they haven't got the squads, have they?
Yeah, the squad. Teams that are not used to playing in Europe, I think it's a great idea to target them because often the European campaign means more to them as well in their own head. So the motivation is, focusing on that competition. It seems like sort of Real Madrid, your Barças of this world, your Man Cities of this world. But they're used to European competition. But even those teams are not always immune to it. Real Madrid dropped points today unexpectedly. So,
we're in the top leagues. We're talking about very fine margins between getting beaten and not. So if you're mentally tired, never mind physically tired, and you've been to the well on a Wednesday night and you've come back and it's a mid-table team away, it must be very difficult. I mean, the big word early on in the season was that Guardiola was having trouble motivating some of the Man City players. And this is why it's so hard to keep winning the Premier League. It takes so much out of you that there's a price to pay down the line. And that must come into European football as well. But as we get in towards this business end, the people that have done this for 3, 4, 5 years at Manchester City and come out the other end with trophies, you're going to be able to send them anywhere. They're not going to get tired, are they? It's the people that haven't done it. Here's a question then, Simon, because I know you're a man, a numbers man. I mean, this is a numbers game, fundamentally, the betting game is. Say there was a match going on where a team had a whole week of rest and preparation ahead of a league game, and they were facing a side that played on Thursday night away from home in Europe. And you thought, under normal circumstances, a fair odds would be, say, even money, plus 100. How much of a factor of percentage would then you apply to that? Would you then say, do you know what, minus 125 is actually fair odds because of it? Or would you go even further, or is it only a slight thing? I'm talking generally here, not in general. I think you wonder now whether the line itself has already got that pre-adjusted, but it depends how many people think like you now. However, I do think you get an instinct watching a midweek game, and this is why we were talking earlier. The people saying about monitoring results and things, but I think I'm the opposite. I think you should watch as much as you can.
The eye test,
and that's the way I do. And I think you get a feeling about, particularly a Champions League game, where you sort of can make notes and think, this is going to have left its mark. This is a tough night's work. Where are they on Saturday? Are they on Saturday? Where are they on Sunday? And then you start factoring in. The other thing, of course, as well, if you've got a team with a group of players where it's the first year in Europe for quite a few of them, then it's harder, isn't it? Because it's a new thing. They're not used to the amount of travelling. They're not used to the pressure of these games as well, Steve. Particularly latter stages Champions League games that can go extra time over 2 legs. They must be exhausted.
I think one bit of advice that I would give to people, and I'll use the French game as halftime right now as an example. Rams against Lens, 1-1 at halftime. Now, Lens have rested and rotated their squad quite a lot, which wasn't entirely expected for this game because they need to finish as high as they can in the league. They could get in the Champions League spots again. And I think where you've got to, if you're betting on teams, it's probably wise to be waiting until the starting 11 comes out. For sides that have been involved in Europe or, had an extra time cup in midweek or whatever, if you really want to play it safe, wait until the 11. And I know prices can move a lot before then, and you might miss out. You might feel like you're missing out on some value, but there's a lot of times I've given a pick out days in advance, and then the lineup comes out, and I've got people atting me on Twitter or something and saying, "Oh, I don't like the lineup now. What do you think to this?" And I'm not confident anymore. That's the way soccer goes. So if you want to play it safe, then you do have to wait for the lineup. That is one bit of advice I would give. I think it's really dangerous betting on games involving teams that have played on Thursday night. That's the big one. Champions League less so, because often the bigger clubs are involved. But it's an intriguing thing, and I've seen so much of that this week, not just from myself. That people, bettors, targeting sides that have been, should be tired, fatigued, or whatever, or should be fresher. So it's a really, really important part of betting. There's so many aspects to betting, of course, Simon, but it's interesting that you think that they should certainly be quite a strong percentage applied to when you are, working out your fair odds.
You're right about the Thursday nights, obviously the physical time, but also they're usually lesser quality teams, aren't they? That probably don't have the strength of squads of the Champions League teams.
No, they don't.
So they're more vulnerable to injury, mental fatigue, whatever. But look, any edge you get, any angle you can play, any seam you can mine, do it, go for it, and believe in your own strategies. We talk here about, Nigel always uses that judge of judges. If you don't think something, follow somebody who you think's got a spot cracked and everything. But for your own betting, whatever percentage you have, if you've got a feeling and it's not, and you can evidence it and give some reasoning for it, it's like people say, "Do you think it's going to win out of, let's say, Man United and Arsenal?" Well, but then tell me 3 reasons why. Then you're formulating a plan, aren't you? So if that's part of your arsenal, with no pun intended, then do take those teams on by all means. But then you've got to work out. You've got to work out at a certain time into any strategy, haven't you? Like, is this winning or losing? You've got to give it a proper run, haven't you? You can't do it for 2 weeks.
Yeah, you can't. And every match is so individual. I mean, for example, Braga are going to the back end of Beyond on Thursday to away to Karabakh. Now, Karabakh, where is that, you might ask? It's in Azerbaijan.
Is that near Katowice?
They wish. It's Azerbaijan. That's closer to the middle of Asia, isn't it? Than certain parts of Europe. But whereas if you go into somewhere like, I don't know, the south coast of France, that's not too far for anyone, is it?
No.
So it is very, very individualistic. This is a great game, by the way, Luton against Man United. The early goals have proper opened it up, and I expect
apart from the score, it's fantastic.
I expect it to sort of play this way. Casemiro in the book. How many times does he get carded for Man United? It's absolutely incredible. He's like a banker card, isn't he? Why on earth didn't I think of him?
I tell you what, this Man United defence, it's a good job Luton have not got the old shooting boots on, because they are wide open, aren't they?
I think it's the Manchester United back line is always, I think you'd fancy having a go at it. I think what Man United are showing, and even today, their offense is in much better health.
Oh yeah, I would concede
the wheels
that,
are in far better motion. Like even Rashford's looking sharper again. So I think you can certainly trust their offense, and you've been able to trust it in the last few weeks. Defensively, I think Martinez is a big injury for them. When he plays, they look a lot better. Varane as well is a big player for them, obviously, of course. But this is a really open game. Luton Town plus 950 to win on the money line in running. The ties plus 400. Man United minus 335. Goal line is 5.5. at the minute. 5.5 goal line plus 145 if you fancy the overs, but you need
there are
double the amount of
worse
goals.
bets than that. I would be. My hand would start to be quivering towards the wallet there. Might not reach it, but that is. Listen, the
is that why I
in this
saw?
game
Is that why I saw a moth in the background? Is that why I saw a
Lord
moth in the
Luton
background?
It was just went out. Yeah, it's been in there for years.
Yeah, well, the Asian line is actually over 5 as well, so even more security there. So yeah, it probably is worse bets, but soccer is a game of two halves, and possibly the teams might come out differently after half time. I don't know, but it does feel like an open match.
What have we said all year? Luton, team spirit, togetherness, going 2-0 down. They could easily have folded and been 5-0 down at half time, but they have come roaring back.
I'd say this lad, Ogbene, on the right wing, he's got wheels, this lad. He completely tore apart Newcastle. Dan Burn had a terrible afternoon against him. And, it's lucky, well, not lucky. Man United got Luke Shaw, who is a very good reader of the game at left back when he's fit. But Luton are coming forward again. They shoot, and it's just wide. Onana was diving down low. Carlton Morris looking in the mood there. I think Onana had it covered. Although, can you ever really say that this goalkeeper's got anything covered? I don't know.
I would struggle. Yeah,
but it's been a great game of soccer, no doubt about it.
Steve, I've got a little bit of transfer rumor. Would you like me to share it with the people?
No, this is intriguing. Go on.
Now, I'm not saying you can bet on that, you may, whatever, but I've heard from somebody who would know. As you know, I've got friends in low places, Steve. Right. I've heard somebody who would know that the Everton centre-back, Braithwaite, who's been a revelation, has he not?
Yeah.
May well be on his way to Manchester City. I want you to remember where you heard that first, folks.
Well, I mean, Everton would certainly take the money. I mean, he would command a fee of what, 30-40 million, because he's a young.
Can you start doubling that figure, please?
Well,
sir?
no, because Everton need the money.
Right? Probably take a tenner. Yeah. So there you go. I heard that on good authority.
That's an interesting. I mean, I don't.
It'd be a terrible day for Everton and a fantastic one for Man City. Could he be the replacement, of course, for the guy who came from Everton, John, the centre half?
Stones, yeah. I mean,
that's him.
John Stones. I mean, former.
Could he be the long-term replacement for him, Steve?
Could be. I mean, they do like to cotton onto these players early, and I can just see Bet Rivers putting the market up now. Branthwaite, next club.
Yeah, and I'll pay out if it's wrong. Yeah.
This is so open. I can hardly take my eyes off this game. Luton, they've got lucky.
There will be more goals in this game.
There's got to be more goals in this game.
Should not be opening the second bottle of champagne just yet. Just hang on. Leave that half a hot dog and just hang on, because you are not
more goals in the game. Stade de Reims won, Lens won at half time. I've had this game on in the background. It should be 0-0. There's been one chance at either end and 2 goals. One of those where if you actually backed both teams score no, which I might have actually had a nibble on. You don't want to be.
Well, one thing's for certain: there's been more action in this game in the first 42 minutes than there will be in the entire game tomorrow night. I can guarantee you that. More goal action in this first half.
Bochum have equalised against Bayern Munich.
Oh my god!
So I mean, that would be everyone. It's their only shot on target in the game so far. But I mean, I know a lot of people who were on Bayern Munich here today and still may well cash with them, of course. But
now you know European football very well, Steve. Could Bayern replace their manager with the guy who is at Leverkusen?
Yeah, of course they could. That's what they do historically. They raid their biggest rivals for players and managers down the years. It's a tactic which has paid off quite well for them. But thing is, I think Xavi Alonso is well coveted beyond the German shores. That's the thing. Obviously, Liverpool are linked with him. Real Madrid,
that's the thing. Isn't
great history
there.
The now, I think Real Madrid is going to become the plum job in European soccer in the next 5 years. Right? Well, I say 5 years, probably 3 years. because you're going the Galacticos are back. Mbappe is going to be there. You're going to have Bellingham. You know, they've got some great young talent. The mid Camavinga. I mean, it's quite sick actually. So, what sort of manager are they going to need to? Well, they're not. Some might say they don't need a manager, but if they got themselves a really good. Well, I can imagine like Big Sam would be on here saying,
well, they'd drop all the flair players, wouldn't they, and replace them? Yeah. No, I mean, the interesting thing is you've got, and certainly for the betting on these things, you've got big plum jobs that we know are going to be up for grabs.
Yes. Well, in the summer there will be,
and Barca.
Obviously, there's plenty of things to bet on this summer on the field, but also off the field there'll be markets. You know, next Liverpool manager, whatever. Next, potentially Bayern manager, Real Madrid manager. Next club for however many. And people would love betting on this in the off season. It's, you know, for some people it's quite a bit of fun. Some people like to think they're in the know, and they're not. And there's people out there who actually do know. So it's all very much in the spirit of soccer. But yeah, in terms of Bayern could replace their manager imminently anyway. Like Thomas Tuchel is absolutely not safe. If they get knocked out of the Champions League, it's hard to see how he can actually
jettison him, wouldn't they?
Now, they wouldn't get a permanent boss in for the rest of I don't think they would anyway. They would probably appoint someone, maybe even from the academy, or a short-term candidate, someone in Germany who could do something with them until the end of the season. And then I think Bayern might want to move on from Thomas Tuchel anyway in the summer. That's the thing. Even if they do win the Bundesliga,
it's not worked, has it?
So, yeah, absolutely. I could see them going after Xabi Alonso. We know that they like him. They've got absolutely battered by him last week. So that will be a lot of credit into his bank. But Luton have got a very dangerous free kick here, by the way, Simon. 42 minutes on the clock.
If I was a Liverpool fan, which I'm not, and if I was a Bayern Munich fan, which I'm not, I would ask myself, if Real Madrid offer the job this guy, it'd be very difficult for him to turn it down.
Of course.
I can't think of anybody, player or manager, that ever turns down Bayern or Real.
As bad as, say, Barca are now, and I know Real have had their troughs down the years as well. Though, for me, those are the two jobs that you just don't turn down in world soccer. Unless you just don't. They're just absolutely massive clubs. And
I think it was in Gary Lineker's first book where he said, certainly with Everton, that the agent or somebody said to him, every player's happy till they hear the phrase Barcelona are in for you. And that changes everything in one phrase.
Of course it does. But yeah, dangerous free kick here for Luton Town. Ross Barkley's over it. Alfie Doherty's over it. My man, watch him score instead of not assist. So maybe he could. I wouldn't mind if he sort of tapped it to Barkley, but Doherty goes for the shot. He's blocked by the wall. Man United survive. Goes out.
Maguire.
But Luton. To be fair, they looked absolutely out of this at 2 down.
Well, they did, but they've got. This is the spirit they're going to need if they're going to stay up. Whatever happens today,
going to be. We've got 2 minutes to half time, and let's see how. Just say it, we don't know what. We think it's going to be 2-1 at half time to Man United, but after the break, it's going to be very. I think it's a great game to get involved in. Watch this and maybe bet. It's got to be the overs unless things come down. Man United now coming forward. It's that sort of game, Simon. But
crazy.
It's a crazy game. But I want to get thanks for coming on. The live reaction,
and remember
your thoughts.
The tie plus 285 at Bet Rivers tomorrow night. Yes, it will be a ball draw.
Is that your best bet for the match?
Yeah,
tomorrow
that's
night?
The one.
Everton Palace.
I think that'll cash the tie. Yeah, the team who can't score be the team who can't defend. It's the perfect match.
When you saying tie, are you thinking no goal scorer then here, or?
I would. I have a bit of that as well. Definitely, but I do think that is a because it's going to be if it's a draw at 70 minutes, it'll play out. You know, Everton might put more effort in to try and win it, but Everton are on a really, really bad run. We got to stress that. And your confidence just gets sapped. And this is a team with a lot of problems off the field as well. There is not a great atmosphere around this club. And if Palace were to score first, then the old Goodison 12th man will quickly go against them. So I don't think this is the cakewalk that others who have called this match better than I have so far may think. So, don't be a moron, put more on.
When I saw this match was on Monday Night Football, because Monday Night Football is, I'd say, the Sunday afternoon is the prime time slot for the Premier League. But the Monday Night Football is a big match. It's a bit like America for NFL. I think the Monday Night Football, it's not always the best team, but it's usually quite a good game. I saw Everton Palace rolled up, and I thought, what on earth are they doing? And suddenly, though, it's become a lot more intriguing because of the way the results have gone.
Yeah.
And obviously with the Roy Hodgson Palace situation now. So I'm actually quite, in a weird, sick way, I'm actually quite looking forward to it, even though I know there's not going to be many goals. It's not going to be a game for goals. But
even in this crazy Premier League of 9-8s and 7-6s, we're going to break the spell tomorrow night. Don't worry. Stay on the unders train.
I like 1-0. I really like 1-0 Everton. I mean,
who's going to score it, Steve?
An own goal. I don't know. I mean, it won't be DCL, will it?
Might have to be you running on.
1-0 Everton, right? Plus 5-10 with Bet Rivers.
I'd love to be wrong. I would love to be wrong.
Oh, and Luton nearly equalise.
Oh,
nearly equalise. Right, Doherty, my man Doherty.
It's coming. Don't worry, Hatters fans. It's coming.
I think Doherty should go at the bloody Euros. He pops up everywhere.
Brave shout.
He's better than Chilwell for me.
I wouldn't disagree with that. He's more of an action man, isn't he?
I mean, he probably wouldn't get many minutes, but he can play left back or right back, or left wing back, right wing back. But it is what's happened here then? Luke Shaw is off. Oh my God, this is bad news for Man United. Luke Shaw is off. He was a doubt. I mentioned before the game he was a doubt. Right, Lindelof's coming on. Ogbene is going to roast them. He's going to absolutely roast Man United in the second half on that right-hand side. Lindelof is going to get absolutely terrorised.
Well, does this affect your view of whether Luton are still in play here?
Well, I think Man United are going to need to score at least one more goal to win the game now. Got to be honest.
Which
they can do.
Right,
they can do. They certainly can. This has been a crazy game, actually, to call live because all sorts of stuff's been going on in it.
Yeah.
But watch out for Ogbene. I mean, I don't know what he is to score or assist in the second half, but they'll target that Man United left-hand side. No doubt about it now. Man United could still well win the game. Man United could put 4 or 5 up themselves. Don't get me wrong. The way that Luton have defended poorly today. But anyway, there's my final thoughts on the game. Enjoyed everyone's company. Later on, Brest Marseille, like the goals there. That's my sort of nap of the day. But Simon, we'll see you again soon.
I hope so. Yeah, it's been great. Yeah, thanks, Steve. Thanks everybody for watching and contributing. Yeah. And well, let's hope it's a boring draw tomorrow night. That's all we say. Let's leave it at that.
Well, good luck as an Everton fan. Good luck. Tomorrow. I hope you get the win, and we'll see you around. Take care, everyone. Stay safe.
Yeah. Bye-bye,
Cash
everyone.
those tickets. Bye-bye.